Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, September 2nd. Um, it's been an interesting couple days. I was going to put a video in last night. I forgot. I have a small shop haul, grocery pickup. Basically, I ran to the grocery store, got a few things that we need. Some of it we needed, some of it we didn't. Maybe I'll put in the video. I don't know. But anyhow, this morning I kind of woke up in a weird state of mind. Weird as in I felt out of place. And what I mean by that is my bed felt wrong. My surroundings felt wrong. The era, as in timeline, felt wrong. Now, I can contribute it to two things. One, the dreams that I had last night were let's just say that they were early 900, late 800 AD era. And now the second reason I can contribute to that is I was introduced by somebody from Facebook to Icelandic, Scandinavian, Norse inspired type music. And I've been listening to it a bit, and by a bit I mean literally every chance I get to, on the way to work, on the way home, at home when I'm doing my own thing, before I go to bed. Granted, I can't understand the lyrics because, like I said, it's in either Icelandic or Scandinavian. So it's kind of like hard to basically understand the words. But the tone and the rhythm and the instrumental parts. I'm having trouble talking, or saying certain words. So it's kind of like, yeah, a lot of the stuff that I read about your surroundings, your environment, what you do before you go to sleep can influence your dreams as well as just events of the day. Yes, I'm drinking Mountain Dew. It's my only Mountain Dew for the day, so I'm trying to be slow about it. Otherwise, last couple days, Jay and I have been, I don't know if you want to say suffering or dealing with personal issues and bouts of depression, which I contribute that to three things. One, the weather the last couple days have been gloomy and miserable and just downright depressing weather-wise. The second reason, especially for me, possibly for Jerry Ann, is about this time of year, as I get closer to the holidays, I have bouts of depression due to loss. Loss of family members, people who aren't here to celebrate the holidays. Now I think that's also what's affecting Jerry Ann, because she, is, her father passed away. And I can't remember if it was this time of year. Trying to remember. Her father passed away Super Bowl Sunday of 2010. Yeah, that's over 10 years ago, but still, my father passed away back in 86, 87, and I still have that come up every so often. And the third reason is, and this is more towards Diane than me, um, while Diane was gone, me and Mom did a lot of changes, and I don't mean we revamped the house or anything like that. It was minor changes in decor. It was the Nordic way testing of the Nordic way, and just a lot of things that occurred while she was gone that had some impact because, excuse me, because of she wasn't here to be involved. And that affected her. I mean, she had a whirlwind of a summer. She had her birthday, which had its good joys and whatnot, but it also had some down points. I blame myself for that because I was not exactly fully 100% involved in the whole situation due to the factor that I was trying to deal with not being stressed out from having so many people at once in my house. Um, then she had the whole eye situation and whatnot before going to Texas, and then going to Texas. Thankfully, her bestie Lisa, who was with us the whole way from birthday to going to Texas, Lisa drove pretty much halfway until Jerry Ann felt that she could do more or drive the rest of the way, whatever it was. So she had to deal with that, and then she had to come home and deal with the situation here at the house, go for her second set of eye shots and exams, whatever. And the doctor did say it was getting better. She's also having the personal issue of feeling like, and she's talked to me about this, and I said, no, it's not you, it's me, because it is me. But she felt like that, I was all gung ho and whatnot about the Nordic way and the diet and the changes and all that, and then she came home and I allowed myself, and that's why I said it's not on her. I allowed myself to fizzle, and the reason why and like I said, me and Jerry talked about this. The reason why I felt that it was on me because I allowed myself to fall back, and I don't mean like fall back like I fell off the wagon. I'm not doing the diet and the whole 9 yards. No, it's I slowed down because Jerry reminded me of two things, and I'm glad Jerry reminded me of these two things. One is if I steam forward at the pace that I was going, I end up falling off the wagon. I end up stopping the whole shebang, the whole 9 yards. I just stop. I'm trying not to. So I kind of pulled back. I have two books. At least I think I have two books. I think I have one or two books coming to me that are recipe books for Nordic or Scandinavian type foods. Now, one of the things I told to Jerry from my studies and what I've read is a lot of Norse and Scandinavian foods are fish based because they live in an area where they're surrounded by mostly water. So they have fish meals for like salmon, cod, perch, halibut. I think it's halibut. Salmon, North Atlantic salmon, cod, perch. I thought halibut was another one, but I'm not sure. But they have like it's mostly fish meals, and I'm not opposed to eating fish. In fact, I had the salmon once, and it was surprisingly different, even though it tasted very bland. And I think it was because of the fact I cooked it wrong. But and a lot of you have given me ideas on how to bake salmon. I was surprised when we had that salmon meal that Mom actually tried it, and she said it was all right, but it was, like I said, bland. Um, and I said I think I put too much water in the base of it to cook. So I'm learning. It's an experimentation. It's a learning process. Um, but like I said, the weather around here has been very gloomy and depressing. And I mean, weather-wise, just it's gray, gray and rainy, and just if it's not, it hasn't been cold. It's been more muggy, humid. And the only thing I could say was, well, we're gonna have an early fall, or fall's around the corner, or something like that. Because this is what happens usually right before wintertime. It becomes gray and cloudy and rainy and muggy, and then it cools down real quick. But our winters, sometimes it's gray and cloudy, sometimes it's clear but cold. So it's just something to that we have to deal with. Um, but otherwise, things around here have been very. They're different. I can't really explain how they were before, because well, maybe you guys could, because you watch me every day and see the differences. But yes, I don't seem to have as much enthusiasm or energy as I did before. And I'm not blaming anybody for it, and I'm not looking for people to say, well, this is why. I mean, well, you can if you want to, but I think what's different from before when Jerry was here was I have goals, I have plans, I'm doing my best to push towards those goals and plans. Sometimes some of them get pushed back just a step or two, or pushed to the side just a little bit, because there's other things that need to be done, that they need to be done, and I realize I can't just push those things that need to be done off the side for things that I want to do. Um, I've learned that if I pace myself and I do things in moderation, and I don't get overly excited or overly what's the word I'm thinking about? Not zealous. I can't think of the word now. I had it a second ago. But as long as I keep my end game, or my goals, I wouldn't even say my end game, but my goals, my desired plans on the playing field, they won't go away. I think what happened was, between the realization of Jerry's age, my age, my family history, her family history, we've both basically outlived at least one member of our family. Outlived my father. She's outlived her mother. There's a lot of things that they might seem like negative points, but the thing is, there's a positive point. I'm 49. My father did not see 46. She's 50. Her mom did not see 50. I don't know what age her mom passed away at, but the positive thing is we've outlived that parent, because of the factor we're monitoring our health. My father did not monitor his health. He was diabetic. He was diagnosed diabetic in '84 when he got out of the military. I don't know when her mom was diagnosed as diabetic and having her health issues, but I know what my father's health issues were. Thankfully, the worst of his health issues that I'm dealing with is the seasonal bronchitis and allergies. I have been diagnosed with hyperglycemia, with possible borderline diabetic. I haven't been classified as diabetic. I've been classified as hyperglycemic. I don't know about how, I think, well, I know, these are the things that I know, and I can't remember if Dad had them or not. I have unnaturally genetic high cholesterol, so I have to watch my cholesterol intake. I have, from both sides of the family, I have diabetic issues. I'm hyperglycemic. Both sides of the family had high blood pressure, heart problems, various different genetic issues that could be a possibility that I have to watch out for. Thankfully, the allergy, asthma, not asthma, allergy and bronchial issues is something I've been dealing with since I was a teenager. Luckily, they're not as bad as they were when we first discovered them because I don't live. Well, I shouldn't say I don't because, but one of the things that caused us to realize that I had allergies and bronchitis was Dad retired from the military and we lived in Mesa, Arizona. Mesa, Arizona, or at least a section of Mesa that we had to drive through on a regular basis to get from one point of Phoenix to another, were orange groves. So every spring, those things were blossoming, and the whole Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, whatever you want to call that area, was clogged with pollen. That and a factor of the pollutants and dust and whatnot that blew from from California to Arizona, came through the Grand Canyon and down into the valley, which is where Phoenix was, down in the valley. And yeah, not fun growing up. Not fun when we discovered this back in 84 and 84, 85. I was 13, 14. Yeah, 14 in 85. So Dad had to pass away right before I turned 16. That was 87. So that that kind of that in fact of other various issues. I had a kind of messed up teenage life, but that's that's back then. This is now. I try to focus on the now and move towards the future. Granted, I used the past as an understanding of some of my issues. Now I don't dwell on them because if I were to dwell on some of my issues from back then, they might as well just put a straight jacket on me and put me in the loony bin because yeah, I would not be able to function in society. I can barely function right now in society when I start having my stressors, but that's beside the point. But all in all, the issues that have arise or arisen, however you want to put it, during this past couple days, they're issues that they're issues I've been dealing with for half my life. Jerry was worried, and one of the things that caused her to have some depression was Jerry was worried that my gung ho, as she put it, attitude towards the changes I was trying to make kind of not really subsided but dissipated somewhat, and she thought she broke me on that, and I'm like, no, I just pulled back because I have been focused on her, because of what happened Friday. Now, we're not 100% sure exactly what it was. We don't know if it was a combination of the fact of that meal that caused her to have a low in her uh, I don't know how to describe it, a low in her energy or whatnot, a drop, because that meal was basically, it was loaded with carbs. It had the grilled chicken, then it had the rice with grapes, Then it had the pear and pecorino with honey. That was a combination of a lot of carbs and sugars that she probably should not have had at the time. Um, she wanted to try it. We didn't know how it was going to affect her. We now know that it's one of those meals that it's either can't have all the carbs. In other words, can't have the rice with grapes, or she can't have the pears with honey. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, if we do this dish again, we'll have to cut one of the side dishes out, whether it's the pears and honey or the rice and grapes. I think the pears and honey was definitely way too much because the the natural sugars from the pear uncooked plus honey on top of that right there is just like probably a double negative for a type 2 diabetic. I haven't really noticed any lows for me. I think most of my lows are mostly because of just the way I feel. Between the weather being ucky and whatnot, and just my body hurting. Yeah, my body hurting from work. And I don't mean work around the house. I mean my job can. I mean we're getting busier and busier, so my job wears me out. And speaking about jobs, work has been great. I'm not having any major issues with work. I'm more the thing that I'm having problems with, and this is me and me alone, because the people I work with are great. They're friendly. We work as a team. There is no, oh, you're the day shift. You have to deal with this, this, and this, and the night crew has to deal with this and this. No, because a lot of times, if we're really busy, the night crew has to pick up from where we left off because that's the way it is. It's not um it's not one of those situations where we're purposely leaving stuff behind for the day crew or the night crew to do. It's, hey, we got busy. There was only two of us. We're sorry, you know. And 9 times out of 10, we don't leave much for the night crew. We leave little things like, if you've got time, do make some croutons. If you've got time, fill some sauces. If you've got time, we understand that, everybody in the store understands when it gets busy right now because we don't have that many people. In fact, we're losing 3 people within the next week and a half, 2 weeks. Things are going to get a little hectic. Things are going to get a little tough because daytime, we've only got, not including Debbie, we've only got myself, Jesse, Lisa, and Patsy. So there's only actual 4 workers. And, well, there's Debbie, who's the owner boss, and then Lisa is now a supervisor. Now, Lisa might not be able to do night jobs. I don't know. But we hired 2 new people yesterday. Debbie has 2 interviews today. Don't know how fast they're going to get hired. That means we'll have at least 4 new people, maybe 3 to 4 new people. So, yeah, we lost 3 people, but we're gaining at least 4. So that will help smooth things out. And yesterday, Debbie and I were talking, and Debbie says she's going to put me on to work nights, so I can learn how to do closings and whatnot, and maybe, don't know, maybe I'll be a closing supervisor. I don't know. I'm not looking for a supervisor position. I'm just looking to help out. I'm looking to make what I can make money-wise and do my best to help out run the store. Just like here at home, I do my best to help out here at home. The only difference is here at home, I can slack off and decide when I'm going to do it, when not. But that's life. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that. They do their best at their job because it's what they're getting paid to do. And then when it comes to doing whatever around the house, they do what they can when they can and that kind of thing. Okay. Well, I got my life update out. I'm gonna go ahead and do, since my day off and I can basically spend my time to a certain extent doing whatever I want. I'm gonna throw in a Bible verse. Try to make this positive as possible at the end of my life update. Today's Bible verse is Psalms. It is out of Psalms. It is Psalms 5:12. And it says here, "Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield." Now, this is a Bible verse from my cousin Michelle. Bible verses she used to study on a regular basis before she passed away from bone cancer, bone marrow. Actually, it's cancer that got into the bone marrow. A little bit about Michelle before I talk about that verse. Michelle was a very, I guess you'd say, righteous person, and when it comes to a religious point of view, or a Christian point of view. I'm not even going to say religious, just a Christian point of view. She was a very happy person. Had literally no hatred whatsoever in any part of her life. She was very giving of herself, very giving to her family, very loving to her family. She had lots, and I mean lots, of friends from college and from growing up in small town Ohio. Now I for one, and I don't even go by Catholic. I'm not even going to go by a Catholic standard because I don't know their requirements to be sainted. But Michelle, if we would have grown up in a 1200, 1300, 1400 era world, and in our our religion would be Catholic, she would probably be sainted. Because of her outlook, her love for God, her love for people, her lack of hatred. That's the kind of person she was. She was, in my opinion, she was a very righteous person. Now, granted, because of our modern day world, I guess you'd say, she got cancer from, well, she was a student in college, and she was working as a study group with now was it a study group or it was just a job that she had? She had a job of some sort. I can't remember exactly what it was, whether it was part of the college deal or just something that she was doing to make money while she could. She was working at a factory in Ohio, and this factory did a lot of work with paints. Unfortunately, because the factor of lack of proper protection, mainly breathing, she somehow contracted or got cancer from. They first thought it might have been the fumes that she might have breathed in because it was a form of lung cancer. And they didn't realize it was actual cancer. They thought it was maybe like smoke insulation from growing up around her father who smoked. I don't remember the exact information. I just know that whatever it was that she got into her system was misdiagnosed by one doctor, and then she got worse and went to a different doctor, and they diagnosed it as cancer. And well, they tried to treat it with chemo and all the different forms of cancer treatments and whatnot. And they said once it got into the marrow through the bone because it became bone cancer and then got into the marrow. There was no real turning back. It was just try to make her life as comfortable as possible. Well, because of the whole incident of being misdiagnosed the first time around, they did the legal thing. But that has nothing to do with this Bible verse. This Bible verse, because of the factor of Michelle's belief in her, what I would say her righteousness, she was protected from as much as she can be protected from. Now, some people might say, how can you believe in such a thing because of the fact that she passed away? Well, this is the thing. We all have to die. Unfortunately, some of us die sooner than we should, than most of us think they should. Some of us die horrifically. Some of us die quickly. Some of us die slowly. We're all dying in one way or another, whether it's quickly or not. Now, I don't mean to sound mean or anything like that because I'm not trying to be. I've seen plenty of people die at various ages from various things in my family. My grandmother basically allowed herself to die through slow starvation. She practically stopped eating, and she did that. She passed away a year after her sister passed away. My aunt, or great aunt, aunt or great, I can't remember. Anyhow, her sister, my great aunt, my aunt Helen, basically, she passed away from natural causes. You know, age, combination of age and just well worn. She was a well traveled. What's the term that they use? Spinster. She had money, no husband, no children, and whatnot, so she can do whatever she wanted. And then my grandmother, from depression, basically allowed herself to slowly die from starvation. My father passed away because of diabetes. His sister, my aunt Helen, passed away. Basically, we said that she let go after my dad died because the only reason why she was still kicking was because of my father. And she survived diabetes, blood pressure problems, several heart attacks and heart surgeries and strokes and whatnot. You know, and that's why we think the only reason why she was still alive up until that point with all the issues that she had was because of dad. My cousin Michelle from cancer. I mean, I've seen the best ways and some of the worst ways to go. Now, I've never had a family member die from car accident, suicide, anything like that. I don't know of any of my family members who's ever done that. And we've all seen. My father was around during Vietnam. He was over there as a helicopter mechanic for the Air Force during Vietnam. He's seen the gruesomeness of war when they basically volunteered him to go in a helicopter or fly out to a zone to pick up the dead and dying. It's a harsh world out there, and the only thing we can do is do our best to live it. And those of us who are meant to survive through, I mean, I don't remember Aunt Helen. I don't know what kind of person she was. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories, but obviously there was a reason for her to survive so long. Could it be a shield of faith? Could it be a shield of righteousness? Who knows? Same with Michelle. Michelle survived cancer for an extreme period of time. I don't remember exactly how much, but during that whole time, she read the Bible from cover to cover, who knows how many times. And she came up with this list of 57 Bible verses that she meditated on. Now, the first couple of them were based on fear not, to be fearless, to not fear what's in front of you, not to fear what's coming towards you, not to fear the world around you. It's one of those things where it's like, Was it because of these memory verses that she lasted so long enough to, through her dying days, minister to the family through the Bible verses and a letter that is somewhere amongst my papers? Who knows? But the thing is, and this is what I strongly believe, that I can't tell you what a righteous person is. The reason why I can't tell you that is because I know for a fact I'm not a righteous person. I have more than my fair share and then some of flaws. Ay. We are flawless creatures. Human beings are, whether you want to admit to it or not, are the how do I put it without being nasty? We are the worst of all of God's creations. And the reason why I say this is because, and I'm not saying that I want to get rid of free will or the ability to make choices or anything like that, but because of being a flawed creature, we make a lot of bad choices. I mean, my childhood, I loved candy, I loved sweets, and here I am at 49, and I'm paying for it. Am I proud of it? Not exactly. Do I accept it? Yes. Would I love to be able to jump back in time to my pre um, pre-Germany experience where I found the joy of candy and sweets, and say, hey, you can have that. That's good for that's good and fine and whatnot. But do yourself a favor. Take care of your teeth. Brush your teeth. Go to a dentist. Yeah, I went to a dentist. I hated them. I squirmed. There was one time when we went to the, no. Yeah. There was one time we went to the dentist. My father had to literally hold me down to allow the dentist just to inject the Novocaine. I hated needles back then. So it wasn't just a factor of the Novocaine and the sound and smell and pressure and feeling of what the dentist was doing in my mouth. But even when we went to do the shots, the vaccines and whatnot to come back to the States from Europe, it took my father and what did they tell me? Because I don't remember. They told me the story because I don't remember. It took my dad and 4 to 5 orderlies to hold me down just so they can do shots. Which is impressive for me because like I was 11, 12 when we came back to the States, and here my dad, who's a big guy. I mean, granted, he was also overweight, but he was built. He had strong arms, and him and 4 to 5 other orderlies to hold me in place just for shots to come back to the States. For a 12-year-old kid, that's impressive because that means not only was I a wild child and very mobile, but must have had enough strength in my body to basically ward off 5 to 6 people. Now I'm not trying to pat myself in the back or be like arrogant or whatever you want to call it, but I am now 49 years old and I'm more than capable of reading stuff and understanding what it means. And here I am going, out of all the things that could go wrong in my life, if I have a strong faith, whether I'm righteous or not, and I have a strong enough faith, and God decides that I'm Ah, excuse me. Where did I leave off? Yes. If I'm worthy enough to be protected from whatever, and I can give a lot of whatevers that I know, that I know I would need. More than I would need just the physical comfort of people or surroundings or anything of this realm. I strongly believe that he would give me that shield of faith or righteousness or whatever you want to call it. Because in the long run, it does not matter your surroundings or your belief in yourself. Because you can have all the belief and you can sit there and think that you have a good grasp on knowledge or a good grasp on situations or various things. In the end, it's not you judging yourself. It's not your friends or your family or your peers or the people in your office or your workplace or whatever that has the final say of were you worthy of any godly gifts, whether it's the gift of being protected by your righteousness or your faith or your beliefs, your religious standings, your church. All that in the end is dust. We can be wiped out at any moment from natural disaster, a comet that basically is the same kind of comet that took out the dinosaurs. This pandemic could get so much worse and wipe out nearly 90% of life on Earth. In fact, the Bible in Revelations talks about how and I can't remember the numbers, so don't quote me on numbers. You might have to look it up yourself if you choose to. But Revelations talks about how a percentage of all living things will be wiped out one day. Is this pandemic one of those things that's going to wipe out that percentage? Is it a comet from space going to cause an ice age that wipes out the percentage of life on Earth? Now, I can't remember if, because it's been a while since I've read Revelations, but I can't remember if Revelations even tells us what it is that's going to wipe us out. It talks about the four horsemen of apocalypse: pestilence, famine, war, disease. Maybe pestilence is disease. I always thought pestilence was like a plague of insects, not a disease. But anyhow, it talks about the four horsemen. Is this pandemic one of the horsemen? There was something I read not too long ago on the internet that NASA was talking about a comet that was going to, and it wasn't a very big comet. They were talking about, they were talking about more like a small rock compared to an actual asteroid. But they were talking about this comet or this space rock. I'm just going to call it a space rock that was supposed to pass fairly close to the planet, and they were talking about a slim possibility of it entering the Earth's atmosphere and hitting, actually coming into contact with the planet, not just passing it by. And I was kind of like, is this something I should worry about? Is this something we should worry about? Or is this just like another news clip or another clip from somebody who's just trying to cause more panic? We've got enough of that as is between the coronavirus and economic issues and just general issues that is causing enough problems. We've got enough things going on right now that makes somebody like me who's read various books and kind of go, is this pandemic and the economic issue and the racial tension happening here in America alone a biblical sign of one form or another that we don't always see as a biblical sign? Because as a whole, we have lost our Christianity, our beliefs, our I don't even know what to call it. We've just lost so much. And I don't mean loss as in loss of life because of the pandemic or loss of life because of the shootings and the deaths that have happened because of this Black Lives Matter racial tension that's going on. We lose lives on a daily basis from natural causes, car accidents, things of that nature. Um, it's everything has tensed. The world has become so tensed that at any moment that tension could erupt into something disastrous. And I compare a lot of things that are happening here in America to things that have happened in Europe but has never escalated to this point. The pandemic issue, well, that was a global issue. That was something that's happened to everyone everywhere. There has not been an area not affected in one way or another by this pandemic. The racial tensions that has happened here in America, and it's happened multiple times. It happened back during Lincoln's era, and Lincoln solved that problem or deflated the tension that it didn't erupt into the chaos it has today. Even with JFK. JFK, abolished the segregation that was going on in the South and Texas and places like that. There's no real segregation that I know of in America today. But obviously there is still some issues with how the different races, and I'm not saying minority or otherwise, I'm talking about every race that's here in America. America is in a melting pot. So we have white people, we have black people, we have brown people, we have yellow people. We have people from, now, America itself, when it was founded, already had inhabitants, the Native Americans. The Anglos, white people, came in and started pushing the natives to wherever they wanted them to be. Then we got the people that we brung over here from Africa as servants, slaves, basically. So slavery has been a thing for eons. It's always been a situation because it's always been the dominant force coming into a foreign country or a country that they weren't they weren't natural inhabitants, forced their way into their country and forced the people in that country to be slaves. It's happened with Romans, Egyptians, Greeks, Norse. It's been happening throughout time. But America is a melting pot for every nation. Literally, we have Africans, Indians, white people from Europe, people from Asia, and I don't mean just like China and Japan. I'm talking about Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, Russians. We've got people from Ukraine, Ireland. Me. Just take me for alone. My DNA test results that my ancestry is German, Norse, Irish, Scottish, British, Scandinavian, Czechoslovakian, and basically anything from Northern Northwest Europe. There's no Spanish of any form, no French that I know of. Mostly German, Scandinavian, Norwegian, Scots, Irish, Brit, Czechoslovakian. Those areas that I just listed were conquered or settled or had settlements from the Norse people. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm probably more Norse than anything else because, of those things. Now, if there's anything, I think the smallest amount or smallest percentage was Czech or Ukrainian, something like that. Anything below that is so small that it doesn't register. So if there's anything other than what I just named, I don't know. But when it comes to, I keep on jumping off the subject, I'm sorry. When it comes to my religious standpoint, my beliefs, at the end of the day, no matter what my feelings are, basically, sorry, I'm trying to adjust my paperwork, or not even what my feelings are, but what anybody's feelings are, at the end of the day, we only have we have two people to answer to, and doesn't matter if you're married or not. Yeah, you have to answer to your spouse, so you can consider that a third person. But at the end of the day, the two people that you have to answer to the most is God, because He is the final and end all decision maker of anything and everything in this universe. And then it's yourself. Can you look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say you did a good job? You were a good person. You didn't treat anyone poorly. You treated everybody as an equal. And if you can literally say yes and feel within your heart of hearts that the answer is yes, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe that is also God's answer. Yes, you are a good person. You did good works today. That's all. I mean, there are people out there who think they are righteous, good people, and they're not. The problem with a lot of people today, especially today, and you hear about it more and more. There are people out there who say that what they did was in God's name, when God would not have approved of you going and shooting somebody just because of their beliefs or their skin color or because you think they were a criminal. That's not your choice. And sadly enough, there are a lot of people who are good people who did no harm, who are sitting in jail waiting for a final sentence, and they're being judged by 12 people, 12 of their peers. Well, unless those peers have gotten all the information and all the information is correct, even then, at the end of the day, it's not up to those 12 people. It's not even up to the person on the judge's bench. Yes, they are there to enforce the laws made by man, But what happened to the laws made by God? Those are the laws that we should be enforcing. Now, I'm not saying that I'm against our government or our judicial system or any of that. I'm not. I understand what the man on the judge's bench is supposed to be doing, and I understand what the 12 people in the jury box is supposed to be doing. The reason why I know is because I was a jury member once for one trial, and both parties were found at fault. I'm not going to go into details because I'm not supposed to. And that, in fact, it was a couple years ago, so I don't remember the whole details. I just remember that both parties were at fault. It wasn't a big criminal case or anything like that. It was just a simple... It was a simple thing. It wasn't like sending somebody to prison or anything like that. It was just a simple thing. Anyhow, I have rambled on for nearly an hour, and I am so sorry. I really am. So I'm going to go ahead and end this before too late. Oh, wait a minute. It is too late. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the question comment box. I will try to address them as best as I can. If I have not answered somebody's question or comment in the past, it's most likely because of either A, I didn't quite understand it, or B, I just didn't know how to answer it. I just didn't know how to address it. If you're a new member or somebody who wants to be a new member, go ahead and click on the bell, whatever that is down there, and you will become the subscribe button. The subscribe button, and then a bell will pop up, and click on that, and you will become a member, and YouTube will let you know when I put in my next video. Until next time, bye.